it's like psychedelics, right? Psychedelics are having a moment
Yes.
right now. And people are like, yeah, like psilocybin's this and ayahuasca is this and that. It's like anything, it's a doorway. It shows you something, but you have to walk through that door and you have to do the work. And meditation is no different. It'll help you calm your mind a little bit. It'll help you see things. But ultimately, you have to make wise decisions. You have to do things that are good for you. It just helps that you're now influenced by a calm nervous system in the process.
The following podcast is a Healthy Dog production. Welcome to the Healthy Dog Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nigma Talib. I'm a leading naturopathic doctor now for over 20 years, and I've consulted thousands of patients with chronic illnesses. I've had clinics all over the world, and I have a #1 bestseller, Younger Skin Starts in the Gut. Listen, I know there's a lot of health information out there in the health and wellness world, and it can be a bit overwhelming. So I'm here to set the record straight and give you my expertise along with my expert guests here in studio in sunny Los Angeles.
I only take drugs with other people who take them on a regular basis because I don't have time for that.
A lot of chronic diseases stem from mitochondrial dysfunction.
Yes. And you know what I love talking about, right? Poop.
Yes. You can ask me about my poop?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about poop.
Okay, please.
This podcast is your go-to for achieving optimal wellness from the best of beauty and longevity and everything in between, because after all, wellness comes from the inside out. Welcome back to the Healthy Dog Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nigma Talib. Today, I have an incredible guest, and he is one of the world's specialists in meditation. I know when you hear the word meditation, you think, oh, I don't want to hear about it. But with this guest, Manoj Dias, he is incredible. He has worked with athletes, executives, and I met him at an incredible event that we met at in Napa Valley. Well, we'll talk about that, how we did breath work together. And he's the best-selling author of Still Together. He offers a wealth of information on how training the heart and mind can unlock our true human potential. Meditation and mindfulness. Let's talk about it. Welcome, Manoj Dias. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nigma. So good to be here with you and Dante.
Thank you. I was talking about at the beginning when I was introducing you how we met at a breath work. I was so jet lagged, and you did this incredible breath work with, I think it was like 15 or 20 of us. It was probably one of the most incredible things I've ever done in my life. So I can't wait to talk about that. But my first burning question is, and it's always been, is how can the power of meditation combat our wandering minds? Because we know our minds wander. The research says that every 8 to 10 seconds. So Manoj, how do you help people? I know you work with a lot of different celebrities and companies. What is the trick here?
Yeah, it's to, first of all, recognize that our minds do wander that often. I think for most of us, we don't even know that our minds are wandering. So we'll be in a conversation and then you'll often notice someone's eyes starting to dart off, or every couple of seconds reaching for their phone, or just this feeling of uneasiness. So for the average person, yeah, it is 8 seconds. That was done, I think, in 2017 or 18, that research study. But 15 years before that, it was 10 seconds. And this was before, how big TikTok has become and YouTube Shorts and all that. So my suspicion is it's going to get worse and worse unless we really try and take back control of our attention. And this is really hard, first of all, because there's a whole thing called the attention economy. We're trying, companies are trying, data companies, Facebook, like Meta, all of these different institutions are trying to get ownership over our attention because they can sell, they can market, and all of that. And so again, this is just a part of everyday life. But what we can do is we can first become aware of what we can control. And what we can control is where we decide to place our attention. We can't stop people trying to steal it, but we can begin to notice when we feel like our attention is pulled. And every time we notice that and then just come back to what we're doing, we start to reclaim our own mind and reclaim our own attention. So mindfulness, which is probably the most popular term when it comes to meditation these days,
Yes.
has been around for 2,600 years at this point. It started in the time of the Buddha. It was a specific meditation technique. It was first referred to as satipatthana, which is awareness, mindfulness of the breath, mindfulness of this moment. And then over time, there was countless research studies that went into it to actually validate what people back then knew, which was paying attention non-judgmentally in the present moment has tremendous powers and benefits. So the question was, how do we stop our mind from wandering? And it's really simple. First, we notice that it's wandered. That in itself is like awareness. The moment you recognize you are no longer present is the moment you become present. And it's like a mic drop moment just to acknowledge that, right? And then from there, you can be like, okay, where do I want it to be? And I'm like, okay, I'm in a conversation with Nigma. I don't want to be thinking about, the car park I've got to walk to or the food that I want to eat. Every time we do that, we create neural circuitry in the brain. We create a neural pathway that reminds us coming back to the present moment is what we're here to do. And we keep doing that over time. We create new neural pathways. We create more moments of mindfulness and more moments of presence. And the more we do it, the more we get to experience it.
And so there are different kinds of techniques of meditation. What do you do for somebody who's just starting, like a beginner meditator? Is there such thing as a beginner meditator, or do you just throw them into the
fire? Yeah. No, I mean, we're all beginner meditators for what it's worth, right? Like we all come to it from, like I came to it, I had so much anxiety and worry and stress and overwhelm. I was in marketing and advertising. So these days it's very different to what I would actually teach maybe like 15 years ago. 15 years ago even, I would tell people, okay, here is how you meditate. You sit down, you pay attention to things like the sensations in your body. You notice the feeling of your feet. You might notice the breeze if you're outside. You pay attention to your senses, basically. But interestingly enough, these days, 10, 15 years on, I'm telling people just to come back to their body through active breathing. It is a really great place to begin, especially if you're coming to it from anxiety or stress or overwhelm, which is a lot of the people that I see one-on-one. They're really burnt out. They're very creative. They're all of these different things that are going on. So even to get them to meditate is going to be a challenge. So I tend to do some active breathing practices with them. Active meaning activating their nervous system to a certain degree. And there are a whole host of different techniques we can do that with. And then I might do some down-regulative breathing techniques depending on what they're presenting with. Down-regulative meaning we're going to engage more their parasympathetic nervous system, bring them into a rest and digest state. When they're there, it becomes much easier to help them train their mind on attention, concentration, and things like compassion and kindness.
Wow. And is it the breath work that you're guiding them with, and then you're slowly sort of coaching them through this process with their breathing?
Yeah, I think it's different for every person, but I'm finding more and more that people have a lot of different flavors of attention issues. And myself included, for what it's worth, right? It's really hard to just stay present because we are way more stimulated than we were 10 years ago. And and I'm seeing it every single day. So to get someone to just be in their body for a short period of time is very hard. So I'll get someone, usually if I'm working one-on-one with them, just to do some really easy, deep breathing practices, just to open up their airways, create some space in their lungs, flex and open their intercostal muscles, just so they can feel a breath. And then if they can stay present to just 5 in-breaths, breathing in, breathing out, then depending on how they're feeling, I might do something very activating, because that's also like a circuit breaker. It snaps them out of whatever malaise they're caught in, whatever worry or stimulation they're caught in. It actually snaps them out and they can begin to feel something visceral. And this might be, we can talk about it more, what we experienced at Napa. From that place, when you activate your nervous system for a period of time, you're also integrating things like breath holds, so breath retentions. When you engage breath retentions, you're more able to flex between parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system states, eventually coming to more of an equilibrium, more of a balanced state. And then maybe over a few sessions, they're ready to dive into meditation.
I want to share something that could literally slow down how you age, inside and out. Let's talk about hyperbaric oxygen therapy, or HBOT. You've probably heard of it being used for athletes or wound healing, But what you may not know is the latest research is showing powerful benefits for cellular regeneration, brain health, and even reversing some biological markers of aging. Hyperbaric chamber works where you breathe in oxygen at higher than normal pressure. This process stimulates your tissues with oxygen and beyond what your body can normally get in. That extra oxygen jumpstarts your cells, helps natural repair processes, reduces inflammation, and boosts collagen production. It even stimulates the growth of new blood vessels. Studies have shown improvements in telomere length, which are kind of like protective caps on your DNA that shorten as you age. Longer telomeres, that's linked to healthier aging. If you're feeling the effects of aging, maybe it's slower recovery, brain fog, or skin that's lost its luster and glow, hyperbaric oxygen might be a powerful tool to help you feel sharper, stronger, and more vibrant. Go to oxyhealth.com, that's OXYHEALTH.com, and type in discount code HEALTHYDOC10 for your first order. I think that's a really good way to start. And I don't think breath work has been, it's just been very, unless I've been in a cave somewhere, but breath work is recently becoming really, really popular. Where do you think that came from? Like it's always been around.
Yeah.
But why is everybody talking about it now?
Yeah, it's true. So, I mean, it started pretty much 2,500 years ago as well, as time of the Buddha, but it came more from the Indian region. It came more from the yogic traditions.
Okay.
Practices like Bhastrika, Kapalabhati, these were yogic practices that yogis used to do prior to meditation. So it's been around in that format for a long time.
So it's even before meditation, the breath work.
Yeah,
You have to almost learn how to do the breath work before you do the meditation.
Well, yeah, it was used in various forms,
Yes.
but yeah, a lot of yogis did do it prior to meditation and prior to any sort of movement as well. I think breath work became really popular maybe 10, 15 years ago through a guy by the name of Wim Hof. He's a bit of a celebrity in the breathwork space. He's a Dutch guy that essentially created this, not created, I would say reimagined a style of breathwork that just started to take over the world. And it revolved around circular breathing, so breathing in, breathing out, integrating breath holes, and then jumping in ice baths and cold water. And now we know ice baths and cold showers are blowing up as well.
Yeah.
And I think the reason it's so popular is because of what we spoke about. Like meditation is becoming harder and harder for people to access because we are so stimulated, because we are so wired. And the truth is, meditation for me, in my personal experience, is something that can really transform your life over a lifetime. It's not quick like that.
Right.
It takes effort, it takes work, it takes dedication. Whereas breath work, you can do it and there is an instant state shift, right? So I might come in and I might be anxious or nervous, and then we could do like 3 to 4, 5 breaths, and all of a sudden I'm relaxed, my jaw unclenches, my tongue softens. And that's instantaneous. Now, that doesn't mean that the underlying anxiety or the nervousness is going to go. That's where I think meditation really helps. It gets to the root cause of a lot of these issues. But breath work is an instantaneous remedy for whatever you're going through.
When people think about meditation, they often think about sitting with their legs crossed on a mat, kind of like Aladdin and or a genie, like sitting on a mat. Are there different ways we can meditate besides just sitting on a mat, or is that the key sort of way to meditate? Are there different ways?
Yeah, I think there's a differentiation between mindfulness and meditation with that example.
Yes.
Like we can be very mindful in everyday life.
Right.
Just paying attention when someone's speaking to us is a mindful activity that attracts the same regions of the brain that meditation does. Running could be a mindful activity. For me, just going on walks in the evening, looking at the sunset, paying attention is a very mindful activity, but it's not meditation. And there's a slight nuance to that. Meditation it's very intentional. Usually you work with a specific technique within a specific context for a specific goal. Whether that goal is, quote unquote, enlightenment, meaning, we are freeing our mind from any sort of suffering we're going to, or whether it's, feeling more self-love, compassion, or whether it's just feeling really clear, open-minded and and alert. There are lots of different goals. So for that, I think you can do lots of different mindfulness techniques, but meditation has a specific goal, which is essentially to be free. And that has a lot of connotations, but for me, free is just free from all forms of suffering.
Wow, I love that. That's really beautiful. You also mentioned something that really, hit a chord in me, which is enlightenment. And I think that we're all wanting to eventually have enlightenment. And, I'd love for you to go into it. You can go as simple or as deep as you want.
Yeah.
I'm open to the woo-woo part of it
Yeah,
too.
I love that.
Because I think enlightenment is something, the Buddhist practice and, what is the enlightenment today and, what can humans achieve eventually and
what is
I'll
it?
let you go for it. What is it? What is enlightenment?
Well, I wish I could tell you because I haven't been there yet, but it's a state of mind really, and some would argue it's a state of no mind. And there are so many levels of awakening we can go into it, but that's the term I generally use, awakening.
Awakening, okay.
And awakening can be achieved by anyone. And that's like the beauty of meditation practice. In the Buddhist tradition, it wasn't taught as a way that, you have to worship someone in order to be enlightened. It's not like you go to heaven or hell. It's just, hey, you can train at awakening your mind. So the same way you would train at going to the gym, you can train at awakening your mind. And here is the way to do it. And so you can have everyday awakenings. The moment you realize you're in a repeated pattern in relationships and you have a moment of like, oh shit, like I'm doing this thing with the same kind of person. Like that is a moment of awakening. You might have an amazing idea one day and realize, oh wow, like that, I realize I'm wasting my time at this job. Like this is what I'm meant to be doing. Like that is a moment of awakening. Or a spontaneous feeling of compassion and love just for anyone. That's a moment of awakening. And this takes time and this takes practice. But I genuinely believe that aspect of awakening is possible because I've experienced it as well. I was in marketing and I was in advertising and I was chasing a lot of money. I was chasing a lot of girls. I was chasing a lot of parties. I was wild when I was young. And I got really hooked on drugs, and it was a whole journey that I kind of went through. And it wasn't until one day when I got really sick, a friend took me to like a meditation class, and the teacher in that moment was just saying, "You are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts." And for me, I think I didn't have much of a practice back then, but that moment of someone saying this at the right time sparked something in me that ultimately changed my life. So we can have access to this, and people also don't have to meditate to have moments of awakening. It could just be on a holiday, you have this clarity. It could be, playing with Dante, you're like, this is what life's about.
Right.
And that's like a moment of awakening. So meditation just creates the conditions for more moments like that.
I've built my entire clinical philosophy and even wrote a book called Younger Skin Starts in the Gut around one simple truth. If your gut isn't optimal, nothing else works. Genova Diagnostics GI Effects Test is the gold standard in functional stool testing, mapping your microbiome, digestion, inflammation, and nutrient absorption with clinical precision. It's a crappy job, but someone has to do it. And no one does it better than Genova. Visit genovaconnect.com and use my code HEALTHYDOC15 for 15% off your first stool test. I think that's a really good way that you put it because it doesn't scare people. Because right now, when you talk about the word meditation, people shut down.
100%, yeah.
Because it's so abstract. And it's so, like you said, it's so hard to switch your mind off. And even when I try to meditate, and I've been doing it because I grew up meditating. So we as a family would wake up at 4 a.m. and meditate.
Wow.
And so because I grew up with it, I also then took it for granted in my later years. And I do find it's my medication. It keeps me grounded, and it keeps me from, thinking the thoughts, your thoughts are not who you are, is what you said.
I think, I love that. And I think a lot of us, we come to meditation, we don't come to it from thinking it's good for us, right?
Right.
Because we've experienced it, or it's not for us, or we don't have time. But when something goes wrong in our life,
right.
When we have nothing else we can turn to,
right.
That's often when we're like, oh, I need to change my life and this could be good for me. And,
Right.
it was like that with me. I was
Yeah.
tangentially curious about it, but I'm like, I don't need it. Like gym
Right.
is my meditation or
Right,
like,
right.
whatever it is. And then it wasn't until I realized my own suffering I was causing, all of my relationship failures were probably me, and this sense of unhappiness or unworthiness was not coming from the outside, it was me. So if instead of trying to change everything around me and the people around me, what if I just change myself and change my mind and change the way I looked at things? And then when you realize you have that power, then everything changes, right?
Right.
Then your life begins to change because you realize you have agency. You're not just being thrown around by the wind and circumstance. You can actually change your life.
It's true. And it's also true that if you do also, the other thing that you said that stuck out is that things are not always going to be good. Life is hard. And everybody, if you think life is easy, right, and you try to make, it's like this should be easy and that should be easy. And I think with meditation also, if you try to use that as a crutch and it doesn't work for you, right, because meditation's a practice. And that's what I learned. And as a young girl doing it, it's kind of become more automatic for me in some ways, although I'm still distracted. So I can imagine those people that have never tried it before and are trying it now for the first time.
Yeah.
So it is really something that I think people need to be aware of is it's not going to come and rescue you.
Yeah.
It's something that you need to practice. And I read that in your book as well,
Yeah.
which is really interesting.
Yeah, it's not something that's going to save your life. Like that's you, your actions and your conduct is going to save your life. But it's like psychedelics, right? Psychedelics are having a moment
Yes.
right now. And people are like, yeah, like psilocybin's this and ayahuasca is this and that. It's like anything. It's a doorway. It shows you something, but you have to walk through that door and you have to do the work. And meditation is no different. It'll help you calm your mind a little bit. It'll help you see things, but ultimately you have to make wise decisions. You have to do things that are good for you. It just helps that you're now influenced by a calm nervous system in the process.
You just talked about ayahuasca and psilocybin. Have you had any experiences? Like there's a lot of people doing like retreats with psilocybin and, there's this whole movement. It's been going on for quite a while. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, on a personal level, I've done it. I was curious about it for so long and I did it and I've had good experiences and bad experiences. I still don't think it is the savior, which, I don't think it's the thing that's going to change someone's life. I think it can help people for sure. Not everyone is, should do it or take it. I think it's very individualized and personalized depending on your constitution, your psychological state, all of that. But I also think that it's part of what could help us moving forward. It's part of a well-being routine, right? Still a lot of research that needs to go into it, but I think it makes me nervous when we think we have a magic bullet for things. And
Right.
so I don't think it's that.
Like this is going to cure this. I mean, that's the way we're used to in like big pharma. Here's a drug. Here's a symptom. Let's do that. Let's not do anything around it and support it. And I think I agree with that. I have heard a lot of people say that it's made them enlightened to then meditate, like it kind of woke them up that they need to start being present. And, that sounds very easy and it sounds also very mumbo jumbo because we hear it all the time, but it really means something to people once they've done the psilocybin journey or
absolutely.
and there's a bunch of them.
There's a ton of them. I know.
Which one have you done?
I've done ayahuasca. I've done psilocybin. I've done MDMA in controlled situations. And again, like I thought they were great, but they're temporary, right?
Right.
Like it's like they can give you some insight. You can see something and it's beautiful. And sometimes it'll last for a year, but then it goes,
You go right back to square one again.
yeah, unless you make the necessary changes. And it's interesting, psilocybin in particular has a correlation to what happens in breath work. So when we do breath work, what tends to happen over a period of time is our prefrontal cortex begins to quieten down. It begins to not numb itself out, but it begins to be quiet. And so when the frontal cortex, which does a lot of processing, analyzing, meaning making, begins to be quiet, the other regions of our brain start to pop up, right? The insula, the amygdala, all of these emotional states, these primitive areas of our brain start to arise, and we start to feel things. And that feeling could be good, it could be bad, it could be, the tingles, it could be the crying, all of these different things. And essentially what they're saying is there's another research study that came out saying when the frontal cortex begins to quieten down in this way, our ego also begins to quieten down, and we begin to have access to feeling states. We begin to have access to emotions and all of these things that in the course of our day we might not access because we're so busy and because we're in a very much, I need to do things, I need to analyze, I need to work things out. So there are also natural ways of getting to altered states of consciousness, such as breath work or certain meditations. But, I'm not against it. I'm not a huge advocate for it, only because I don't understand it as much as some other people. But I think it's a really interesting field of wellness and health as well.
From PMS to perimenopause to menopause to postmenopause, I've lived through it all. And through every stage, one thing becomes clear. Hormone fluctuations change how our bodies regulate temperature, especially at night. When your body overheats, even slightly, it disrupts deep, restorative sleep. The kind of sleep your hormones, metabolism, and mood depend on. That's why I can't live without my Rani Lounge pajamas. Their advanced technology activates natural fibers, making the fabric moisture-resistant, naturally fresh, and ultra-breathable, allowing your body to stay cool and regulate temperature the way nature intended. Better temperature control means deeper sleep, better recovery, and a body that feels truly at ease. Whether at home or traveling, staying cool, fresh, and comfortable has never felt so effortless. Go to RaniLounge.com, that's RaniLounge.com, and use my code HealthyDog15 and get 15% off your first order and experience sleep the way it was meant to be. When I did that breath work with you in a group, it must be more than 20 people.
It was 50. What are you talking about?
Sorry, Manoj. I was jet lagged, and I was also in another altered universe because you put me there with the breath work. It was probably, I felt tingling. I felt, I saw my dog that had passed away, the Yorkshire Terrier that had passed away, Mimi, and I was crying uncontrollably. It was the weirdest thing. And it felt like, because I've also done psilocybin, it felt like that.
Yeah.
Like it felt like all of those, everything was quite, the meaning making machine in me, everything was quite, and I was allowing all my emotions to come out.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to explain it, but doing that breath work with you, I've never felt like that before. It was incredible.
Yeah, no, it's very powerful. And, often what happens is there's 3 stages of a breathwork experience, the way that I teach it specifically. There's the mental side, there's the physical side, and then there's the emotional side. Mentally, some people first start off with a lot of thoughts like, oh my God, this is too hard, or I'm tired, or how long do I have to do this? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be safe? And those thoughts are happening in real time as you're breathing, right? And it's happening because you're stimulating your sympathetic nervous system at that point. So you're intentionally shooting adrenaline, cortisol into your body. And so naturally you're having these thoughts. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to go into the part of our brain that can help us relax. And we're saying, okay, I'm okay. I'm safe. My body is feeling this, but I know what I'm doing. I'm in control. And so we're increasing our window of tolerance, our stress tolerance, which is good for resilience. But then we start to move into the physical side of the experience, which can be body getting hot, body getting cold, your fingers starting to cramp up because of tetany, momentarily.
There were a few people that were like that, feeling that way.
Yeah, you throw up gang signs and all that. It's hilarious. And then finally, it tends to be the emotional side, which for me is the most powerful aspect of breath work, because you're now present enough with your body. There's nowhere for you to go. You don't have to run away. You don't have to grab your phone. You're here with your emotions. And to the extent someone is really willing and able and in touch with their body like you were at that point, you can actually release a lot of things. You can release emotions you can release. Some people have talked about releasing traumatic experiences. Some people talk about releasing really heavy emotional baggage and being able to cry. I work a lot with men, and men are like just sobbing like babies, and they're just face changes almost instantaneously. You feel their body relax, their face opens up, and it's really beautiful, and it's powerful at the same time when people are able to give themselves permission to just be vulnerable like that.
You were incredible in that journey, and you also had the most beautiful music I've ever heard in my life. It was beautiful. Can you walk the listeners through what that breath work session was like? If we can describe to them.
Yeah. So the typical breathwork journey that I would teach is first grounding people in their senses, in their body. And that's a really important aspect of breathwork, because you can't go anywhere if someone is not here. Right? You can't take them into their inner work and in their inner world if they're like already outside. So the opening stages is getting them into their body, giving sensorial cues, doing almost a body scan type of meditation.
Right.
And then beginning with a slow cadence of active breathing. And the active breathing technique can vary between a 3-part active breath where you breathe into the belly and the chest and then you exhale, or it can be one circular breath in. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. Over a period of time, we vacillate through these different techniques. We might do some breath holding, which trains air hunger, which, really works with our ability to take in more air and less air and stay consistent and open and not freak out, basically. But that also creates emotional responses in that moment, the breath holding, because it's hard. Like you're essentially, depending on if you hold on the exhale or the inhale, your brain is not getting any sort of oxygen at that moment. So it can feel very scary, but if you're able to really sit in that space and not react to it, it can be tremendously powerful and potent.
I remember that part. That was amazing.
Yeah. You feel like your hands
Floating.
are going numb and floating. All of that. And eventually the cadence builds up. Eventually the intensity builds up. And just by effect of you breathing consistently for a period of time, you start to feel things. And there's a point in the practice where people scream, which is kind of really cool because I find that people don't really do that in everyday life.
Right.
And just to have permission to really scream. And we were at a conference of people that had never met each other. And it was the first day, I think it was.
Yes.
So it was a really cool way to create connection with people.
Oh, it was amazing.
And then people are screaming. And then after they scream, it's usually followed by emotion. And that's when you start to really build self-compassion and kindness for the practice. So you might do some meditation, you might play some sound instruments. I think I played what's called the Shruti box, which is an Indian classical instrument, similar to a harmonium at the end. And then you end with another guided practice. And it's a full spectrum experience of the breath, the mind, and the body.
And do you do these workshops with, obviously you do them with a lot of different corporations. You also have a company that you are one of the founders, Open. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Open is a mindfulness studio based out of Venice. We have an app, we have a studio, soon to be 2 or 3 studios, hopefully, fingers crossed. But the app itself has many different breathwork, meditation, and movement practices, all with the intention of helping people feel present and connected. Like that's the fundamental goal. I teach on there as well as a bunch of other teachers. If you don't like my voice, it's fine.
Oh my God, your voice is the best.
And then the studio, the one that we have in Venice, has ice baths and saunas and all these different modalities. And it's a really special experience if you can ever get to a breathwork class, because we've built that space for sound. So it's fully insulated.
Wow.
We've put speakers on every wall. There's built-in speakers and subwoofers, so the sound reverberates and you can have a very cathartic sensorial experience. It's a really special practice, a really special place, and you get to meet other people that are just like you. And I'm tremendously proud of what we've created so far there.
True wellness lives in the smallest details: the air you breathe, the water you wash with, and the surfaces you touch. That's why Koala Eco, with their beautiful botanical ranges for home, laundry, body, and even pets, is the only brand I trust. Elegant living without compromise. Visit koalaeco.com, that's KOALAECO.com, and use my code HealthyDog15 for 15% off your first order. You're really changing the world by, getting people to connect with themselves. And I think we're all so disconnected. I mean, I was reading your book, The Still Together, and I'm curious as to your opinion now on technology versus connecting us, disconnecting us. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, my opinion hasn't changed. I think technology is like anything. It can be a force for good or it can be a force for evil. It's not going to really change. Although, Australia just banned kids from using social media, which I thought was really cool. So
Excellent.
kids under the age of 16 can't have, certain accounts and things like that. But I think we have to control what we can control, and that's us. If we can control our desire to constantly check our phone, and I think there was a research paper that came out very recently, a couple of months ago, that says the average person, American, checks their phone 96 times a day, and is on their phone for 7.5 hours, which I think is actually being generous. If I'm
I think
honest.
that's being generous. Yeah, that's really. Do you ever check do you have a time on your phone that tells you how often you're checking? It's
100%,
scary.
100%. And I'm also bad for what it's worth. Like, if
No, I am too. But it's helped me reduce my time by telling me.
Well,
It's the awareness of it.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And there are things we can do. There are apps that tell us, do you really want to check your phone right now? It's called like One
Really?
Sec. Yeah, it's amazing. And you can set it up with certain
Really
apps.
want to check your phone?
Yeah, it's great. It's called One Sec, actually. So you just click on
wow.
it. You click on, like, for example, Instagram,
Yeah.
right? And if you've said, you only want to check it between these hours or
Right.
this many times, and you click on it, it'll pop up and be like, do you really want to do it? And just that little prompt is like, oh, fuck, I actually don't. No, what am I doing? I'm just waiting for a
actually
coffee. Yeah, so it's
interesting.
really good. And there's another one called, I think it's called Brick or something like that, where you can just tap your phone on this thing and it shuts off apps that you select. But the most important thing when it comes to this is to realize you have structures and systems you can create that are really going to save your life. I believe that. For example, if we check our phone first thing in the morning when we wake up, we are going to experience for the rest of our day the same symptoms as ADHD. So constant distraction, not able to focus if we check our phone first thing in the morning. So, a system we can create is waking up, going to the bathroom, getting a glass of water, and sitting down for 5 to 10 minutes, conscious breathing or some, breath work meditation, and then checking our phone and doing what we need to do.
Right.
And it's a small change, but it can have a drastic impact.
It's huge. You can do, the thing is that the phone has become everything. It's our alarm. It tracks our fitness. It tracks our sleeping.
Yeah.
It's like, we're so addicted to our phone. I mean, not having my phone with me right now, I'm just like, I'm in a podcast.
Good thing
right
for
now.
you, Nigma.
Yeah. I'm trying.
She really is.
On my tombstone, it's going to say I tried. It's a tough one because we really are addicted.
Yeah.
And if we can be addicted to things, I know when I did that breath work with you, I was like immediately connected and said, okay, I need to do this. But have I done it? No. So, I do my own breath work, but I think there is a difficulty in, you need to go to someone like you. You need to have an app that's going to, again, the app is on the phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, we're all...
I actually think, yes, I think it's important to go to someone for the initial experience.
I think so.
Yeah. But then really you can do it at home. Like, you don't need
No,
me.
once you
get into it, yeah.
once you get into it, because I do breath work, and I do find it really helps. And I also do breath work when I'm treating patients.
Right. Yeah.
So-
and there are different forms of breathwork, right? That's
Yes.
the other part. So
There are so many different forms.
100%.
This has been amazing. Do you have anything that I missed that we didn't talk about that you
no,
wanted
I
to
think
add?
I think that's great. Yeah.
Did we talk about everything? We talked about enlightenment. Is there anything you wanted to add on that?
Maybe like the future of mindfulness.
Yeah, where is the future of mindfulness
Yeah.
going?
Well, I think the future of mindfulness is lots of these different practices coming together. For you and I growing up, there
Right.
was like yoga was one thing, and there was meditation, and then there was like breath work, and
Like it's part of the curriculum.
yeah, there were all these different things, but they were all fragmented, And I think these days people have access to so many tools. The future is being able to integrate all of them. In some
as part of
capacity.
their the schooling curriculum. even.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't
I
that
love
be great?
That'd be amazing. I'd love that. Having kids and then being able to do that is amazing.
That would be amazing. I have a gift for you, though.
Oh. I
Well,
love
you know
this.
what I do, right? You know how I'm always talking about poop.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give you one of my love languages is acts of service. Everyone I seem to speak with, their love language is gifts. So I'm
Are you
just
going to help me poop
assume-
better? Is that
I'm going to
what's...
assume I'm giving you a stool test. Dante's actually even left. He's like, I don't want to talk about this
Yeah,
anymore, Mom. It's a stool test, and it measures your gut microbiome. So it
Yes.
allows me to see, who's living in there, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Okay.
And because we know our mood and everything is starting in the gut. So I want to take care of you, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank
This
you,
really has going to make this season of the Healthy Dog podcast. I think everyone is going to listen to this. Manoj, I was wondering, would you be able to walk us through a quick breath work for any of us that are feeling any kind of stress or anxiety right now? People out there could be driving or sitting at home or doing the dishes. Put the dishes away.
Yeah, definitely don't do this driving, first of all.
Don't do this driving.
Don't do it
Pull
driving.
over.
Yeah. This is a really quick breathwork practice. It is scientifically proven to be the most effective way to calm our nervous system,
Okay.
bring us into a parasympathetic state, and help us feel calm and clear. It's called the physiological sigh. So it's 2 quick breaths in, 1 breath out.
Okay.
And it actually mimics what it's like when we're crying.
Okay.
So it's 1 big breath in. So you breathe in through the nose, like really inflate your lungs. You take a quick, sharp breath up, and then you sigh it out. Let's do 2 more. Big breath in. Big breath up. Sigh it out. Last one like that. And let it go. So
Oh,
that's
I feel
it. It's
better
really
already.
quick. It's really easy. Anytime you're stressed, overwhelmed, go ahead and do that.
thank you, Manoj. And where can people find you if they want to look you up?
Yeah, I have a website. It's manojdias.com.au or on Instagram, manojdias_, or at Open.
Okay. Well, thank you again. This was amazing.
Thank you.